Imagine a college dropout, broke and bouncing between programming jobs, going on to build one of the most powerful tech empires in history. He's the world's second richest person, owning nearly 40% of Oracle, a Hawaiian island, and a fleet of jets and super yachts. That's Larry Ellison. He didn't just invent the relational database, he mastered it, turned it into $1 billion software deals, and ended up with a fortune over $250 billion US. But behind his luxury lifestyle, there's ruthless ambition, court battles, and a complicated reputation. So how exactly did Larry Ellison make his billions? This video is your deep dive into the real story of how the Oracle founder built his fortune. Larry didn't start with privileges. He was born in 1944, given up for adoption, and raised in a tough Chicago neighborhood by a distant father and loving but practical mother. He dropped out twice, first from the University of Illinois and then from the University of Chicago. He had no diploma. All he had was just raw curiosity in programming and databases. He landed programming gigs at a few places. In the late 70s, Larry was just a guy with a knack for coding and a bigger talent for persuasion. The real spark came when he read a now famous research paper by Edgar Codd, an IBM researcher who laid out the theory of relational databases. Most engineers thought it was just an academic idea at that time, interesting but not practical. Ellison saw something else. He thought this could change the way every business in the world handles information. With two colleagues, Bob Miner and Ed Oates, he scraped together $2,000 US, 1,200 of that of his own money, and launched a company they first called Software Development Laboratories, today known as Oracle. So what does Oracle do exactly? At its core, Oracle builds software that let other companies store, organize, and search massive amounts of data. Instead of juggling endless spreadsheets or clunky systems, businesses could put everything from payroll to customer lists into Oracle's database and get answers instantly. That made it incredibly valuable for big organizations, because once their data lived inside of Oracle, they were well organized and could work at higher speeds. And this is where the story gets interesting. IBM had the same ideas, also the patents, and the market dominance at that time. But IBM also had bureaucracy. They were slow to roll things out. Larry realized if he could build a product quickly, even if it wasn't perfect, he could sell it to government agencies and corporations desperate for speed and efficiency. That's how Oracle's first product hit the market in 1979. It was the classic Ellison move. Get to the market first and do the technical polish later. His strategy worked. One of their earliest customers was none other than the CIA, who reportedly used Oracle for a classified project. Landing a client like that wasn't just about money. It gave Oracle instant credibility. If the CIA trusted your software, the big Fortune 500 companies would listen too. This was one of the early deals that started Ellison down the path to his $250+ billion fortune. But Larry wasn't content to let the product speak for itself. He was born a salesman, and he had no shame in bending the truth to close a deal. Former employees said Ellison would promise features that didn't even exist yet, then scramble to have his engineers build them afterward. Risky? Absolutely. But it forced Oracle to move at high speed. By the mid-80s, Oracle was riding high. Sales were doubling year after year. Larry wanted Oracle to be the number one, not number two, and he wasn't afraid to push his team to exhaustion to get there. A lot of engineers hated that pressure. Oracle was becoming not just a product, but a culture of relentlessness, and Larry was at the center of it. Still, the breakthrough wasn't just technical. Ellison saw the business model clearly. Lock companies into the Oracle databases, make it costly for them to switch, and then sell them add-ons on upgrades. This stickiness was genius. Once a corporation stored its data in Oracle, ripping it out was like removing a spine from a body. It was painful and expensive, so most companies just kept paying. That recurring revenue model is the foundation of Larry's fortune, even today. So while other tech founders bragged about inventions, Ellison bragged about his contracts, clients, and market share. His vision wasn't just to build good software, it was to dominate an industry. However, Oracle nearly imploded at least once. The first major crisis hit in 1990. Oracle's sales team, under pressure to keep the growth story alive, started using what's called upfront booking. Basically, they counted future software license sales as if they were already done deals, just to juice up their numbers. On paper, the company looked like it was growing like crazy. In reality, however, it was a house of cards. When that truth came out, Oracle had to restate earnings. Its stock tanked, and suddenly bankruptcy was looking near. At one point, analysts openly predicted Oracle wouldn't survive the year. Ellison later admitted that those accounting tricks nearly destroyed the company, and the only way forward was to clean house. In a dramatic move, he fired a big chunk of his senior executives and rebuilt Oracle's culture around a more disciplined sales process. It was painful, but it kept Oracle alive. This episode also hardened Ellison's reputation. People realized he wasn't afraid to cut deep if it meant survival. Then came the legal wars. One of the biggest was against SAP, Oracle's German rival. Oracle accused SAP of stealing software by hacking into its servers. The case dragged on for years. The jury sided with Oracle and awarded them $1.3 billion, the largest copyright infringement verdict ever at that time. All these crises, accounting scandals, near bankruptcy, courtroom showdowns, could have ended Oracle, but Ellison's instinct was always the same: fight harder, cut deeper, and come out swinging. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. In the late 90s and early 2000s, he squared off against competitors Informix and Sybase, eventually winning dominance. In 2016, Oracle bought NetSuite for $9.3 billion, and because Ellison held about 35% of NetSuite, he personally walked away with around $3.5 billion from that deal alone. It looked like Ellison's empire was unstoppable. He wasn't just a CEO anymore, he was a character. The courtroom fights and near bankruptcy scores gave him an edge, but it was his taste for luxury and spectacle that made him stand out from the pack of hoodie-wearing tech founders. Larry Ellison didn't just sit behind a desk. He built a billionaire persona straight out of a movie. Fighter jets in his private hangar, samurai swords on display, a fleet of super yachts including the $200 million Rising Sun, which was so big it needed a full-time crew of over 40 people just to keep it running. But the wildest flex came in 2012 when Ellison bought 98% of the Hawaiian islands Lanai for an estimated $300 million. And he's still spending. In recent years, Ellison has poured more than $1 billion into projects like the Oxford Institute. Some call it philanthropy, others call it legacy building. Either way, it's proof that Ellison isn't slowing down. So who is Larry Ellison in the public eye? For some, he's the self-made Silicon Valley legend, the college dropout who built Oracle from nothing, fought tooth and nail and built a $250+ billion empire. Others see him as reckless, too flashy, politically heavy, even ruthless, and his wealth is continuing to balloon thanks to the growth of AI and cloud stock surges. As of mid-2025, estimates of Ellison's net worth are between $250 and $276 billion. Forbes and Bloomberg place him as the second richest person in the world, just behind Elon Musk. So how did Ellison get rich really? It wasn't by being shy or modest. It was a mix: vision, aggression, and timing. He saw the relational database opportunity and locked into it. It made Oracle indispensable with high margins and sticky contracts. When things faltered, he fought back. Lawsuits, acquisitions, and pivoting into cloud. So the question is, does that make him a genius visionary or just the most relentless salesman Silicon Valley has ever seen? Maybe both. What's clear is that Larry Ellison built his fortune by refusing to quit, no matter the cost. If you like this deep dive, hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more stories on the real journey behind massive wealth.